Hello and welcome to the Meiosis show. All right, so the big question for the day. Parents, we know parents can produce many different types of offspring. And families have resemblance, but no two are exactly alike. Why is that? Pretty certain that you have pondered that at great length. So we will get right to it. All right, so we know that every animal cell has a nucleus. Now remember, animals are prokaryotes, and I'm sorry, back up, that should have sent a big red flare. Animals are eukaryotes, which means they have a nucleus. And so, and every one of those nucleuses has chromosomes. Now, what defines us as humans, or any living species as what they are, is the number of chromosomes. So, humans have 46 chromosomes, and you can see humans have 46. The chimpanzee and the potato has 48. Chickens have 78. Frogs have 26. And the pea has 14. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure why the dude is sitting in that particular manner. It's a little weird, like he's playing some child game. I'm not really sure why he doesn't have pants on, but he doesn't, and so we'll just move on along, but know that humans have 46 chromosomes. All right, now I do like this slide here. Genes are, this is big picture to detail. All right, so we have our whole cell here. Whoops, that's not what I was looking for. Okay, so we have our whole cell here, and inside the cell we have the nucleus. And the genes, the actual genes that code for something specific, are located on the chromosome. So we could go in either direction. We can look at DNA starting down here, and then go to a piece of that DNA that codes for a particular trait is a gene. So a section of the DNA is a gene. If we take that DNA and we start coiling it up, remember, in interphase it looks like spaghetti. It's called chromatin. And as it coils up tightly, see how it coils up tightly, it's going to form into this X shape and the chromosome. So again, going from going from the inside out, so we have nucleus, the chromosome and the nucleus. Here's our chromosome. If we unwound the chromosome here, we get this squiggle, and then a section that's just all made up of the DNA. And then even if we go all the way to where we untwist this ladder, then we end up with a piece of DNA, of course, with our nitrogenous bases in there, ATGC. And it also says here that genotype determines phenotype. Genotype are the genes. When you see like big B, big B, big B, little b, that's the genotype. But they control and determine what the phenotype is. Phenotype is what you see. I like to say phenotype face, because you see someone's face. So maybe little b codes for blue eyes. That's the phenotype. Phenotype is blue eyes. Genotype would be little b. And it is the genes that control the traits of an individual. So whatever their traits are, they're tall, short, have curly hair, wavy hair, straight hair, blonde hair, whatever, the genes are what actually control that. All right, moving on. All right, this is a great picture of a karyotype. Ms. Hodge is going to do a presentation, or maybe by the time you listen to this, you might have already seen Ms. Hodge's presentation. So you will clearly understand what a karyotype is from that. But these right here in the karyotype, the chromosomes actually come in matching sets, and those are called homologous pairs. And so, they're a copy of each other. I mean, they are, a geneticist would match these up, and they look like one another. Oh, let me go back there just for a minute, because I want to point out, remember we have 46 chromosomes, but we have 23 pair. So you can see there's a number under each one of these. 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 22. But wait a minute, I said we had 23 pair of chromosomes. These, the X and the Y, These are the sex chromosomes. So remember I said there's body somatic cells, and then there are sex cells. So the sex chromosomes, X and Y, that's the last set right here, and then the other 22 of them, and each one codes for something different. All right, so we have this concept called ploidy, and the cells in our body, remember I said the body cells and the sex cells. The body cells have a complete set. There's 46 all the time. So it goes through mitosis. We get an exact copy. We go from mother to daughter. Mother has 46. Each daughter has 46. When they have a complete set, when there's all 46, they're called diploid. The sex cell, the sperm and the egg, they cannot have 46. Because if you got 46 from mom and 46 from dad, you'd end up with 92, and that's not human. It wouldn't live. So you have to get 23 from mom, 23 from dad. So they have to go through the process of meiosis and this reduction in the number. So when they only have half of them, the chromosomes, when they only have 23, they're called haploid, which is kind of easy to remember because hap sounds like half. All right, so maybe that's a stretch, but all right, so let's look here. Here is a diploid cell. That's just a regular old cell, and it's got, you can see the inside the nucleus, it has the genetic material, and it's lined up in chromosomes, and they're in pairs. You can see how they're all here in here together. Versus the sperm, right here, is haploid, and you can see they're all in there as a single chromatid instead of the two. All right, now here, this is just another picture of the karyotype and this little process of finding the homolog. Okay, now I like this. I really like this slide. Okay, so this one, it says when gametes, that's the sperm and the egg, okay, so the gametes combine, they form this zygote, all right, that's the offspring. So we get half from mom, half of the genetic information from mom, half from dad. So here we have the adults. Mom gives off 23 chromosomes, dad gives off 23. But notice it has this 2N next to the adults. That's because the adults are diploid. They have 46. But then their sex cells undergo meiosis, and then you end up with an N. You see the egg is N, sperm is N. That's haploid. The N is telling you the ploidy number. And so the egg is 23, the sperm is 23. They fuse together, 23 plus 23 gives you, ding, 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 46. So the zygote now has 46. Now notice the juvenile, that means it's a little baby. So it's so small, it's not a full-grown adult yet. It's still 2N, it's still diploid, it's 46. But what's happening is this whole process of mitosis, this growth is occurring. And so you'll continue to go through mitosis until it reaches its full size and it stops growing. And then the adult will produce the sex cells, and those will undergo meiosis. All right, so when the sperm and the egg meet, their chromosomes must match for the zygote to develop properly. So they have to match. If you took a pea plant with a chromosome number of 14, if you took a sperm from that and then an egg from a human and try to mix those together in the lab, they're not going to match because the chromosome number does not match. So they're not going to develop properly. All right, if you are taking notes, I would like for you to write down these questions and answer them. If you are doing notes on the computer, if you're doing the computer questions, then just answer these from the sheet. All right, moving along, this process of mitosis, of creating a gamete, the sex cell, is called meiosis. So remember I said in mitosis we go from one mother cell to two daughter cells. So the mother cell is 2N, and then it goes through this replication. That's the S phase of interphase. So it goes through the S phase. We have replication. Now we're at 4N, but then we have mitosis, and those two, we end up with the two daughter cells. In meiosis, though, we have the same process as in mitosis. So we start with the 2N, we go through replication, we go through that synthesis, we have 4N, we end up with 2N here after mitosis. So we go from 1 to 2, but then we go through meiosis 2, and we end up with 4. So we go from 1 to 2 to 4 with meiosis, where we only go from 1 to 2 in mitosis. All right. Now, let's look here. Oogenesis. Oogenesis is the making of the eggs. Oo means egg, and genesis is to make, so we're making the eggs. I want to point out to you the here, you can see the results. You get an egg with the females, you get eggs, and you get these polar bodies. We're going to talk about that a little more in the pre-AP class, but just kind of store that in your memory banks. We'll revisit that. And then with spermatogenesis, we are, if I can get the thing to change, woo, now it changed too much. Okay, with spermatogenesis, we're going from the diploid to, and then all the way down to the haploid here. And then finally, this one I really like. This one, okay, so you can see up here we're at interphase. And then we go through PMAT, just like we do in mitosis. Now, there are some differences. We have this process of crossing over, which we'll deal with a little more in class, that gives us a lot more variety too. But you can see nuclear membrane breaking down, metaphase, so prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. We still lining up at the metaphase plate there in the middle, anaphase being pulled apart, telophase building that nuclear membrane back, cytokinesis. Now we have mother, 2 daughter cells, but notice we go straight to prophase 2. We don't go back into, after cytokinesis, we don't go back into interphase. We go straight into prophase 2. This is where our reduction comes from, because we didn't go back through synthesis and replicate and get additional chromosomes from it. All right, so prophase, breakdown of the nuclear membrane, metaphase lining up in the middle, anaphase being pulled apart. But notice, look at, there's half the amount as there is in the original one, because we didn't start now with the same number. And we end up with telophase and 4 haploid daughters. So we go from 1 to 2 to 4. And I believe that is all for our show for today. We will deal with a little bit more in detail in class